Trigger warning and all of the warnings. This video will discuss a sensitive topic, a traumatic incident. If you find these things upsetting, please do not watch this video. You've been warned. Hey y'all, today I am back with another story time. So if you haven't already watched one of my recent videos about when I went apartment hunting in London, I mentioned that we had to move because there was a fire in one of the bedrooms of the property we were renting. We were previously renting a 2-bedroom home. So this story time is going to be about the time that I survived that house fire. So we're going to be talking about, sensitive topics, so trigger warning and all of that. If you're someone that gets distressed by this type of conversation, then go ahead and click off this video. So basically what had happened was I was already in a very vulnerable state, I guess would be the right word to use, because 2 weeks prior to the house fire, I was in the hospital for 2 days. I'm gonna make another video at another time about the health issues that I have been trying to manage while working with the very extensive NHS wait list. So I was in the hospital for 2 days, and 2 weeks after I was discharged from the hospital, this house fire happened. So I was already in a vulnerable space, going through a lot when this happened. So at the time of the incident, I was working in a locum role, a contract role, which means while I was off sick, I was not eligible to get sick pay. That was a problem because I was very sick and it was a lot of gray area in terms of the medical care that I was receiving, in terms of how long it would take for me to get the treatment that I needed, so on and so forth. So I took it upon myself to start applying for and interviewing for permanent roles that would then allow me to have access to sick leave, medical leave, so on and so forth. So on the day that the fire happened, I was not at the locum job that I had. I was off that day, and I had arranged for myself to have a virtual interview for a full-time permanent role. And I was just getting ready for the virtual interview. And at the previous residence we used the second bedroom as an office. So we had a desk, we had our laptops, we had a 3-in-1 printer that does, the copiers, the fax, old school, if you know what a fax is. It was just set up like an office. And so I had set up my laptop properly for the virtual interview and all of that. And I had a candle lit on a dresser in the bedroom, and that dresser had bed sheets, pillowcases, towels. So it didn't have any of our clothes in the actual dresser drawer. And I had a candle on top of the dresser, and I had the window open, and I had arranged the office how I wanted it to be set up for this virtual interview. And I went downstairs to make myself a cup of coffee. So I had one of those American style filtered coffees, and I'm just waiting for the coffee to brew to make myself a cup of coffee. And something in my head just said, go upstairs and check that candle. Just you hear that soft whisper, when you're going about your day. So I heard that voice just say, go upstairs and check on the candle. And when I went upstairs and, went into the office, all I could see was the dresser in flames and the wall behind where the dresser was completely engulfed in flames. It looked like the flames were coming out of the wall. So I'm like, oh my God, I gotta put this fire out. I gotta put this fire out. And along with making the coffee, I had we had an electric kettle, and I had boiled some hot water as well. So I just grabbed the kettle of hot water in a big bowl and filled it with water, and I'm dumping the water on the fire. the fire didn't go out the first time I did it. So I go up and down the stairs 3 times and I do this. Still not going out. The 4th time I'm going down to fill up like a bigger thing of water and then going upstairs to try and throw the water on the fire. The entire room fills with smoke. I mean, pitch black. I mean, midnight. I could not see my hand in front of me. Like, that's how much smoke was in the room. Now, I don't know about where you're from, but in the United States, when you're in elementary school, primary school, you basically have to go through a series of emergency drills. So now, unfortunately, for kids in America, that includes active shooter drills. When I was a child, we had to do fire drills. We had to do like some hurricane drills, and tornado drills, things like that. And I immediately remembered from being a child, the fire drills that we did and how they will always say, if you're literally on fire, stop, drop, and roll. And how smoke rises so the air at the bottom is cleaner. It's cleaner and it's easier to breathe. Because while the room is filled with this thick black smoke, I couldn't breathe. And it feels like you're drowning. Unfortunately, that's another experience that I had as a child. When I was on vacation with my family, I almost drowned in the Bahamas. So it felt like that. It felt the same way that when you're swimming, when you're in the ocean, the pool or whatever, and your head is underneath the water and you can't catch your next breath because you can't go like, you can't do that because the air is so thick with this smoke and smog that you literally can't breathe. So that feeling felt like the feeling when I was drowning as a child. And so I also can't see, but I remember to crawl on the ground. So I just drop to the ground and I crawl on the ground. But since I can't see, I'm like feeling. I'm just using my hands to feel because I can tell myself, all right, I don't know exactly where the door is, but I know the door is in this direction. And if I reach my hand and I can touch the wall, I can then feel when there's an opening, and then that opening means that's where the door is, and I can crawl out the door. So I'm literally on my hands and knees, like crawling out of the office. And another thing I remember from the fire drills, like when I was young, is that they always say if a room catches on fire, close the door behind you, because that way you delay the fire from spreading. And so that's what I did. I closed the door behind me and I basically like trapped the smoke and all of that into the office. And I go downstairs and I knock on my neighbor's door and I'm like full blown panic now. And I'm like, girl, our house is on fire. What's emergency services? Is it 911 or 999? Here, FYI, in the UK, it's 999. Back home in the United States, it's 911. But after that, somebody told me because of so much like Hollywood movies and American programming, if you call 911 wherever you are, it diverts you to emergency services. I can't vouch for that, but I'm like tripping because I'm panicking. So I'm like, is the number 999 or 911? And my neighbor is like, it's 999, it's 999. And she's like so calm while I'm freaking out that it was like comforting, because if I'm freaking out and you freaking out, girl, you can't help me. You can't help me in a crisis. And so she was so calm and she was like, come sit down. We're going to call, emergency services. So I called 999, panicking, girl. Your girl is panicking. I'm like, I need y'all to get here right now. The house is going to burn down. The top floor of the house is on fire. Hurry up, get here. And the fire brigade was at the house in like less than 5 minutes. And it felt like a scene out of the movie with all of the firemen in their like heavy equipment and their helmets and the water cannon. And it was just like, is this really happening to me right now after I just got out the goddamn hospital? I don't need nothing else to happen to me. So they go upstairs with the big hose and they like put the fire out. And they basically like asked me what happened. And I told them what I just told y'all, that I had a candle on the dresser and I was downstairs making myself a cup of coffee because I was preparing for a virtual interview. So I did not see the fire start. But I was home. I didn't like leave the candle and go to the shops. I did not go and take, you know, a dog for a walk. And I was dog sitting at the time, and the dog was asleep on the couch and did not alert me at all about this fire. And, you know, I'm just telling him, like, I didn't see what happened. I just saw that the dresser was on fire, and I tried to put the fire out. So the good thing is, because I closed the door, the fire was basically contained to the top story of the home. So the entire home did not burn down. And the landlord had the relevant homeowner's insurance, so that was covered because the report from the fire brigade noted that it was an accidental incident. This was not an act of arson. It just, by happenstance, somehow the candle caught fire, and it's still not clear how that happened. But yeah, it's absolutely traumatizing. Like, for a really long time, I would smell like that burnt smoke, because even though like some of our clothes did get damaged, I'll put like some photos of items of clothes that I lost or whatever that I previously worn. But even though a lot of our clothes were not damaged, the smell of smoke haunted me for like months. It is so intense. And FYI, to get the smell of smoke out of your clothes, you have to wash it with vinegar and baking soda. And so it was just the smell of the smoke. It's in all of your clothes. It's in your shoes, even though the items were not burnt. And shout out to my friends and the community that my partner and I have built here in London. We had friends that allowed us to stay with them. We had friends that allowed us to use their washer and dryer, because we had to wash our clothes over and over and over again to get that smoky smell out. And thank God I survived that, particularly because my body was already in a wounded state that I was not 100% myself. And I still managed to like think on my feet and be quick enough to make sure that I got out of that situation alive. But I for sure thought I was going to see the pearly gates that day. I thought I was done. I thought I was done. It was an absolutely insane experience. And I hope that you don't ever have to live through a fire. So that is what I mentioned in my video about apartment hunting in London. Literally, the house was on fire and I almost perished in that fire, but thankfully I did not. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Monday. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.